Sean Boarman. I've famously have told the story where my first time I got second in the Breeders' Cup betting challenge was because of you, because I was driving to Chick-fil-A in Lexington, and I called you, and we talked. And the only reason I called you is because the line was long. And I called you, and we talked, and that's when you told me that you liked glass ceiling and the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and saved an all-in push because I used glass ceiling I wouldn't have used without you. So thanks, buddy.
You're welcome, my friend. And it was glass slippers.
Oh,
Cinderella, my friend.
well, I thought it was ceiling. Glass ceiling. That's it. You someone should name a horse glass ceiling.
They should.
That was when I was of the belief that the Euros can't win the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and she proved that wrong. What was it about her, and do you feel the same way about any of the other Euros in this year's Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint?
Well, what was it about her? She was the fastest horse in the race. That's what it was about her. She had the best figures and the best finish, and she got a tremendous trip and ride that day. Do I feel that way this year? Possibly. Highland Princess is pretty damn good, and she's gotten fast. Like the thing about her though, she does have the best figures and probably the best finish. But here's the thing about her: she's very tactical. She's not like a stone closer, and the fact that her late pace figures are as good as they are tells me she might try to be too close to Golden Pal because she is tactical, and there's just no way. I don't think she can produce the finish she's shown in Europe chasing that beast. So they're either going to have to ride her differently, which is possible, or she's going to get sort of chewed up on the turn and won't produce the same finish. But she's very, very good.
Okay. Any of the other European imports kind of stack up? I know how you feel about Golden Pal, and we'll get to him in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any that kind of stack up? It sounds like you believe she could stack up with the right trip and the right ride. Is there any other ones that you think are close enough to her or Golden Pal?
I think Creative Force would have a chance, but I think he's maybe a length or two slower than the filly or the mare. Those are really the only two I think that really have a chance. And I still think Golden Pal is probably the most likely winner.
And then what about the American horses? Is a horse like Caravel or Campanelle, are they? I mean, Campanelle's kind of American and European, but do either one of them give you any indication that they could potentially get close to Golden Pal?
No, I don't see it. Caravel certainly not. The way this race shapes up to me, JK, is Golden Pal's most likely winner. He's got just that devastating turn time. And, if he doesn't win, I think it's one of those two Europeans. And if they don't fire, I have no idea. The rest of them just look all about the same. And it could just be one of those chaotic Breeders' Cup races that I can't predict. I can't pick. So I've got really nothing that I want to bet on any of the other Americans at all.
Yeah, it's tricky because for me, I always kind of lean towards the horses that are going to be forward in turf sprints. But this year, I think with Golden Pal being so dominant, they're going to ride him aggressively. They're going to put him on the front end. I already kind of have my speed horse covered. I already have that kind of aspect of the race covered. So I don't think that I need to use another horse that could get loose like I do any other time I'm playing turf sprints. Oh, this could be the speed of the speed. That question is answered. If anyone gets loose, it's going to be Golden Pal. And if anyone's the speed of the speed, it's going to be Golden Pal. So I don't really need to mess with that. I think what you can mess with is if the race completely falls apart. So you can look for horses that are going to come from way out of it. If I do anything alternatively, it will be that. Caravel, I'm a huge fan of. I just don't think she's good enough to beat Golden Pal. But Sean, there is one thing I did want to talk to you about. And we kind of had this conversation. We have a group text, myself, you, Jake Ballas, Pete. we talk a lot of trash on there, but there was right after Golden Pal ran, your initial instinct was a little bit different than what it is now. Your initial instinct was that's a vulnerable horse that we have a chance to try to bet against. That was prior to you making the figure and looking at the figure. What changed after you made the figure to kind of go back to what we both had a conversation that we think he might be one of the best turf sprinters we've ever seen.
Right. Well, it was really just the way he runs the turns, and he's just got an elite turn of foot, and he does it around the turn instead of in the stretch. And in these shorter turf sprints, that can just be deadly. Now, I do think he's vulnerable late, but I just don't see a horse that can really go with him to make him that vulnerable. Maybe the European, but Highfield Princess can, maybe, but I just don't see it, man. I mean, on my scale, he ran like a 124 pace figure in the middle of that race, which is just outrageously fast. And if any of the Americans try to go with him, he'll bury them. Now, he might end up burying himself, and some deep closer gets up and wins a race that I just can't foresee. But that's what changed with me on him is he's just he just does elite things in the middle of the race, and it's just at 5.5 furlongs. That's just hard to compete with a lot of times.
Yeah, it feels like to me he is the type of horse that he's going to open up on them. He's not an invite them into the race type. Like to your point, he's going to open up. And Irad rides him with enough confidence that he'll do that. I also think that it's kind of a home game for him. I know he's run some big races in other places, but I would imagine that he has stepped foot on the turf course at Keeneland more than anywhere else in his career, whether it be breezes, whether it be races. I think that he stepped foot on that turf course more than anywhere else. He's run well on that turf course. Let's not forget what he did as juvenile turf sprint was there. I just think I just think he's one of the best turf sprinters we've ever seen. And I like the speed figures we're seeing from Highland Queen. So there's that, at least I would consider her underneath. But I think this race is pretty straightforward. To your point, if it's not one of them two, it could be all of them. And that can be pretty expensive depending on what kind of multi-race bet this race falls into.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Well, Shawnee, I'm still going to call you on Saturday morning. I probably won't go to Chick-fil-A though, because I'm staying downtown. There's no Chick-fil-A downtown.
That's tough. I don't know. What are you going to do without that Chick-fil-A stop? I mean,
Well,
it really changed your life, honestly.
You could bring it to me.
I could. We'll see.
All right, buddy. Well, I miss you. I'll see you soon. Pete wanted me to remind everyone to subscribe and to comment and to do all those things that you do on the YouTube pages and talk about Sean's his mustache in the comments if you want to, which I'm really enjoying.
Well, thank you. So is my wife.
Love you, Shawnee. I'll see you.
Love you too, man.
See you next week.
See you, boss.